we are going to discuss about one of the most important chapter of class 9, that is working of institution. अपन इस चैप्टर को 3 सेशंस में कवर करेंगे because this chapter is full of new concepts which you guys might have not covered in your previous classes. So I have divided the chapter into 3 sessions. So today we'll be discussing about session 1, and let's take a quick look what we will be covering in this session. We will be covering that what is a government order, how the decision is being taken by the decision makers, and what is the need for political institution in our country. So before starting the session, let's take a warm-up question. Please pause the video and answer in the comment section. What is the full form of IAS and IPS? आई थिंक आप लोगों में से कई लोगों ने ये नाम कई बार सुना होगा, इधर इन न्यूज़, इधर इन सम पेपर, और आसपास डेफिनेटली आप लोगों ने देखा होगा. दिस इज़ ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट रिनाउंड एंड रिस्पेक्टेड जॉब ऑफ आवर कंट्री. बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स, इंजीनियर्स, सब लोगों ने अपनी जॉब छोड़ी है जस्ट टू बिकम एन IAS एंड IPS. आई होप आप सभी ने अपने आंसर्स कमेंट सेक्शन में मेंशन कर दिए हैं. So let's begin with the chapter. I hope you guys might have read in your previous classes that in a democracy, people elect their rulers. But that does not mean that a person who has been elected as a ruler can do whatever he wants to do. What do we mean by that? Chalo, let's try to understand this concept through an example. Let's suppose a person X has been elected as a ruler of a country, or for say as a ruler of a state, and he doesn't like to work. And one fine morning he woke up and decided, यार काम करने में मज़ा नहीं आता है, एक काम करते हैं, let's make 4 days in a week as a holiday. अब काश ऐसा हो सकता, but practically can he take such decision? No. और let's take another example कि चलो मे बी उसके 9th-10th में कभी मार्क्स अच्छे नहीं आए हो, एंड ही डिसाइड्स कि बच्चों को लेट्स स्किप क्लास 9th and 10th फ्रॉम देयर लाइक स्टडीज कि अ स्टूडेंट विल बी डायरेक्टली प्रमोटेड फ्रॉम 8th class to 11th class or 12th class, or directly he will go to college. Can he take such a decision? No. Why so? Because that ruler is abide by certain rules and procedures of the country, and those rulers have to work with and within the institution which has been already framed by our constitution. So there are 3 institutions that play a key role in the major decisions. These institutions are legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature means vidhayika, executive means कार्यपालिका, and judiciary means न्यायपालिका. ये सारे वर्ड्स आप कभी ना कभी न्यूज़ में सुने होंगे या फिर सुनोगे if you guys watch news. So the basic objective of this chapter is to understand how all these institutions together carry on the work of the government. So what is a government order? Like in this chapter, they have tried to explain this through a certain example which has been quoted. So let's try to understand by some example ki what do we mean by a government order. Like if the government wants to make any rules or regulation or want to take any decision, that has to be taken in a given format by the government of India, and they can't take or make any rules or regulations orally. That has to be in a written format, है ना? So usually we call that format as a government order and basically as an office of memorandum. चलो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड सम प्रैक्टिकल एग्जाम्पल कि आप लोग की एग्जाम्स होते हैं, है ना? तो एवरी ईयर एट द एंड ऑफ योर लाइक व्हाट वी कॉल academic year. So every year, at the end of the academic year, the board, the education board usually passes a circular कि that means जिसमें आपके पूरे एग्जाम के टाइम टेबल मेंशन रहता है कि हाँ सो एंड सो डेज यू विल बी हैविंग सो एंड सो एग्जाम. मतलब ऐसा तो होता नहीं है कि वन फाइन मॉर्निंग यू गाइस जस्ट वोक अप एंड से कि नहीं यार आज अपन मैथ्स का पेपर देंगे, या आज अपन इंग्लिश का पेपर देंगे, या आज अपन लाइक साइंस का पेपर देंगे, है ना. तो everything is being decided by your education board in a proper format, and your exam is being conducted as per the schedule decided by your board. So in this chapter, they have tried to explain the government order through an example, through a government order which has been taken on 13th August 1990, in which they have taken a certain decisions which we'll be discussing further in this session. So, and you guys can also see there is a serial number on the top of the document. And what is it? This is generally a unique serial number which is mentioned in every government order. So what is the need of this serial number? So like in future, if they have to find ki through which government order we have taken so and so decision, so it is usually like they can quote so and so serial number to find a particular government order. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं, but before that, give the answer of this simple question in the comment section. That which of the following is an Indian political institution? Option A, legislative, and option B, democratic. Please pause the video and mention in the comment section A or B. Moving forward with the given example in the chapter of the government order, in which the government had announced that 27% of the vacancies in the civil post and services under the government of India are reserved for socially and educationally backward classes. तो अब यहाँ दो मेजर डाउट आते हैं. द फर्स्ट वन, व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय रिजर्व, and the second, what do we mean by socially and educationally backward classes? So firstly, we'll try to understand what do we mean by reserved. So reserve usually mean like for say कि आप में से कई लोगों ने ट्रेन में सफ़र किया होगा, बस में सफ़र किया होगा. So beforehand you guys might have made the reservation in the train for traveling to some X place. So you have been allotted by the Indian Railway a particular seats for say B1 coach में आपका 40 number seat berth है ना. So what do we mean by that? कि उस 40 number berth में सिर्फ आप ही travel कर सकते हैं. No other person can be allowed to travel in that berth. Why? Because you have reserved that particular seat for yourself. In the same manner, government has also reserved certain number of seats for certain class of people. As mentioned in this example, that government has reserved 27% of seats for socially, educationally backward classes. That means कि अगर गवर्नमेंट ने 100 सीट के ऊपर रिक्रूटमेंट निकाला है कि if they are recruiting in 100 seats, out of which 27% seats will be reserved for SEBC, means कि a person belonging to socially and educationally backward class can only be recruited in those 27% seat. Is that clear? Now the second term comes that what do we mean by socially and educationally backward classes? As we already know that ki India is a diverse country, and we can see a diverse class of people around us. Some of them are so wealthy and some of them are struggling for their livelihood. And there are many people around us whose forefathers being discriminated on the ground of religion, caste, race, and not their forefathers. Still, I'm sorry to say, but still at some places, such practices are being taking place. So to provide them equal opportunities, to provide them equal justice, and to make them live with dignity, government have classified those section of people as socially and educationally backward classes. मीन्स जिनको सोसाइटी में समाज में बराबरी का दर्जा नहीं मिला है और जिन्हें बराबरी का शिक्षा के भी अवसर नहीं मिले हैं, such section of people has been classified as SEBC. So as we have discussed, SEBC is another name for all those people who belong to caste that are considered backward by the government, है ना. Before that, कि मतलब before this section there was also reservation for two other section of the society for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Government has also classified certain section of people into two classes, which is being mentioned as scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, and who are they will make a separate video on this topic. So the government through this order introduced a new category that is known as SEBC, and only person belongs to backward classes are eligible for that 27% reservation quota, which we have already discussed in the previous slide. So before moving further, let's try to understand how you guys have understood the previous concept which we have discussed. Please pause the video in the upcoming MCQ and try to attempt the answer in the comment section. So as we have discussed about SEBC, so what is the full form of SEBC, or what does SEBC stands for? Option A, socially and economically beneficial classes. Option B, socialist and educationally beneficial classes. Option C, socialist and educationally backward classes. And option D, socially and educationally backward classes. You have 10 seconds to answer this question. Please pause the video and answer in the comment section. Then we'll move further. I hope all the given answers in the comment section are correct. So the answer for this question is option D, that is socially and educationally backward classes. So let's take another question. So in this question, you have to mention the names in the comment section. Name the institutions that play a key role in major decision making. Again, you have 15 seconds to answer this question. Please mention in the comment section. You have to write the names. Great. As we have already discussed, legislature, executive, and judiciary are the major institutions that play a key role in any major decision making process. Let's move further to the second topic of our session, that is the decision makers. Now the question comes, who are the decision makers and how the decision is actually being formulated? So for the given example in the chapter of SEBC order, like who decides to issue this memorandum? So let's make a note out here that we'll discuss about this in further also, that all the major decision of the government, all the major government order, I mean not major, in fact all the orders of the government of India is being duly signed by the President of India. He is also known as the head of the state. We'll discuss this about in the next slide, in the next coming slide. है ना. So in this context, that doesn't mean a person who has signed the document has decided himself that I'll formulate so and so order. And for the given example, it is being formulated by the Minister of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, of which the department was a part, means SEBC was a part of this mentioned department. So now let's try to understand how other major decision of the government is being taken. So as we have discussed in the previous slide, that president is the head of the state and is the highest formal authority in the country. So here, what do we mean by the head of the state? Here state means country, that he is the head of the country, or also known as the first citizen of the country. And highest formal authority means he is the final decision maker of any policy of the country. But but there is a catch that he is also known as nominal executive. So, what do we mean by nominal executive? Is that he does not formulate any like decision or any policy. He is just the final authority to sign that order, to sign that document. On the other hand, the prime minister is the head of the government, and actually exercises all the government power. Or we can also say that he is the real executive, है ना? So what do we mean by real and nominal executive? Let's try to understand by a small example of like, चलो घर के example ले लेते हैं कि let's consider your mother as the prime minister and your father as the president, है ना? So like suppose कि आपके घर में कोई function है तो उसका पूरा planning, प्लॉटिंग, उसके खर्चे, एक्सपेंसेस एंड ऑल, बजट एंड ऑल, ये सारी चीज़ें कौन डिसाइड करता है? मम्मा डिसाइड करती हैं, है ना? बट द फाइनल डिसीजन कि भाई पापा से ही पूछा जाएगा ना कि हाँ ऐसा किया जा सकता है कि नहीं. सो द फाइनल नोट इज बीइंग गिवन बाय द फादर, है ना? सो ही इज द प्रेसिडेंट एंड योर मदर इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हु एक्चुअली एक्सरसाइजेज ऑल द फंक्शनिंग ऑफ द हाउस. सो इन द सेम मैनर द गवर्नमेंट, the president is the head of the state and is also known as the nominal executive because he is the final signing authority on any document, and it is the prime minister who actually exercises all the power of the government, and he is also the head of the government. So he usually takes most of the decision in the cabinet meeting, है ना? So I don't know whether you guys might have already read about that what is parliament, but okay, let's take a quick recap. That usually parliament consists of the president and the other two houses, that is Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. And the prime minister must have the support of the majority of the Lok Sabha members. What do we mean by that? Suppose there are 100 members, suppose for example there are 100 members in the Lok Sabha, so the prime minister must be supported by 51 members of the Lok Sabha. In reality there are 545 seats in Lok Sabha, and out of which the government has to ensure 272 seats to form its government. Chalo, let's take a quick simple question. Who is the, as we have already discussed, please answer in the comment section. Please pause the video and answer in the comment section that who is the head of the government and actually exercises all the government power. It's A, prime minister, or B, president. You have 10 seconds to answer. Please mention in the comment section. Who is the head of the government and actually exercises all the power? Please don't get confused. We have already discussed many times. Who is the head of the government and actually exercises all the governmental powers. So continuing with the given example of a CBSE order, were all these people involved in this decision regarding the office of memorandum, means whether only president or prime minister only involved in this decision, or there are some other person, or there is some other thing behind the scene. So this office memorandum was culmination of a long chain of events. What do we mean by that? The order which was taken on 13th August 1990 was actually, its process was started way back in the year 1979. The government of India has appointed a second backward class commission in the year 1979. It was headed by B.P. Mandal, and that commission was also popularly known as Mandal Commission. So what do we understand by this situation is that for coming into a point कि उसके पीछे भी एक पूरी प्रॉपर प्लानिंग या पूरी एक प्रोसीजर होता है, तब जाके अपन किसी एक पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट पे आते हैं. है ना, कि द गवर्नमेंट हैज़ टेकन द ऑर्डर, लाइक द गवर्नमेंट हैज़ गिवन द order of like ACBC quota of 27% on in 1990. That doesn't mean कि government have decided to formulate that order in the same year. They have already planned and or already set up certain committees to study कि how we can formulate such order. Like for example, like चलो ठीक है, लेट्स टेक अनदर एग्जाम्पल ऑफ योर होम ओनली, कि अगर सपोज अपने घर में कोई शादी होती है, तो डैट डजेंट मीन कि चलो किसी की शादी अगर 20 अप्रैल को हो रही है, तो डैट डजेंट मीन कि ऑन 20th अप्रैल ओनली वी हैव डिसाइडेड कि विल गेट लाइक दैट पर्सन सो एंड सो पर्सन विल गेट मैरिड, है ना। ऐसा तो होता नहीं है कि उसके पूछे की पूरी एक प्रॉपर प्लानिंग होती है कि मे बी 6 महीने, 3 महीने, साल भर, और मे बी उससे भी ज़्यादा, कि हाँ ठीक है कहाँ शादी करनी है, ठीक है क्या वेन्यू रहेगा, कौन गेस्ट रहेंगे, क्या पहनना है क्या नहीं पहनना है, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, दे आर सो मैनी थिंग। इन द सेम वे गवर्नमेंट भी अगर कोई ऑर्डर फॉर्मुलेट करती है, तो उसके पीछे की भी एक प्रॉपर प्लानिंग स्ट्रक्चर रहता है। So, in the given example, the government has formulated a second backward class commission in the year 1979, which was headed by BP Mandal. For your information कि भाई अब सेकेंड बैकवर्ड क्लास आप पढ़ रहे हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली यू गाइज मस्ट हैव बीन थिंकिंग कि फर्स्ट बैकवर्ड क्लास कब आया था। तो एक फर्स्ट बैकवर्ड क्लास कमीशन वॉज अपॉइंटेड इन द ईयर 1955। ठीक है, तो इन द ईयर 1955 में एक काका केलकर करके कमेटी बनी थी, विच वाज आल्सो नोन एज द फर्स्ट बैकवर्ड क्लास कमीशन। ये इस चैप्टर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट ठीक है, एक लाइक फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन यू कैन नोट दिस डाउन। सो इन दिस कमिटी मंडल कमीशन was asked to Mandal Commission was asked to determine the criteria to identify the socially and educationally backward classes in India. ठीक है, also to recommend steps to be taken for their advancement. The commission gave its report in the year 1980 and made many recommendations. One of these was that 27% of the government jobs be reserved for the socially and educationally backward classes. The report and recommendations were discussed in the parliament. So as we have already discussed that there are certain section of people which is being classified into like SCBC. So but a point ये आएगा कि who are the people that has to be classified in SCBC? So for that the government has set up a committee that is known as Mandal Commission. So they'll decide कि they'll try to identify what are the major areas under which we can keep a person in SCBC class, है ना, and also the steps, what steps can be taken by the government to for their advancement. So like committees had given several recommendations, out of which one of the recommendation was 27% reservation, which we have discussed in the first slide itself, है ना। And that report which is being submitted by the committee is further being discussed in the parliament. And for several years, many parliamentarians and parties kept demanding implementation of that commission, but due to certain political issues, that recommendation of the commission could not come into the process. But now, in the year 1989, at the time of Lok Sabha election, there was a party known as Janta Dal has promised in their manifesto to the voters that if they will come into the power, they will implement the Mandal Commission report. What do we mean by manifesto out here? It is usually just a promise document which is being given by the political party before election, है ना, कि ठीक है आप लोग कई बार सुने होंगे कि हम सत्ता में आएंगे तो रोडें एकदम चिकनी कर देंगे, 24 घंटे बिजली होगी, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. सो इट इज़ जनरली यूजली अ मैनिफेस्टो इज़ अ प्रॉमिस डॉक्यूमेंट ऑफ एनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, है ना. सो लेट्स नॉट गो इन टू डीप, है ना. what we have studied in this, that in like 1989 election, the Janata Dal political party has given in their manifesto that they'll implement the Mandal Commission report if they'll come into the power. So As a result, Janata Dal formed the government after that election, and its leader VP Singh, है ना, so he was the prime minister. He became the prime minister. He became the prime minister, and several development took place after that. So, what events took place after Janata Dal formed the government? Let's take a look step by step. The president, in his address to the parliament, announced the intention of the government to implement the recommendation of the Mandal Commission. Okay. On August 6, 1990, the Union Cabinet took a formal decision to implement the recommendation. Next day, Prime Minister VP Singh informed the Parliament about the decision through a statement in both the House of Parliament. The decision of the Cabinet was sent to the Department of Personnel and Training. We have already discussed this part. And there is nothing to explain. It's just a statement how that decision has been implemented. Then the senior officers of the department drafted an order line with the cabinet decision and took the ministerial approval. And officers signed the order on the behalf of the union government. This was how order number so and so was born on August 13, 1990. For the next few months, this was most hotly debated issue in the country. Newspaper magazines were full of different views and opinion on this issue. Up when the order has been formulated, so there were many political parties और ये सारी चीज़ें काफ़ी ज़्यादा dispute हुआ कि how 27% is being given to a new class of society which is being formulated by the order that is known as CBSE. तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा disputes हुए for which मतलब काफ़ी सारे cases सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी फाइल हुए and the same issue is being resolved by the case known as Indra Swani and others versus Union of India case, है ना. अब कोई भी डिस्प्यूट होता है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से रिलेटेड तो वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ही जाता है. तो अ पैनल वाज फॉर्म्ड and the case was known as Indra Swani and other versus Union of India case, and under that case in the year 1992 the Supreme Court judges declared that this order of the government of India was valid. Thus the dispute came to an end and this policy has been followed since then. I hope यहाँ तक आप सबको समझ में आया होगा. Now it's a time of comment time. Let's take few MCQs key to know whether you guys have understood the topic or not. Chalo. Who was chosen to head the second backward class commission in the year 1979? It's an easy question. Option A, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Option B, Jeevat Ram Kriplani. Option C, BP Mandal. Option D, Ramanand Mishra. I hope you guys should not take much time to answer this question. Let's give 5 seconds to answer this question. Please answer in the comment section and we'll move further. Great. As we all know, it's BP Mandal. Chalo, moving forward for the next topic of the session, that is what is the need for political institution in our country. So now the question comes, what is the need for political institution in any country? Like for any government, they should every government perform such activities which ensures the security of the citizen. They try to provide education facilities, health facilities, and they try to formulate and implement like various welfare schemes, and they try to collect taxes and spend the money like on the areas like health, education and security of the citizen. So now the question comes, how all this process been taken place? Like मतलब ये सारी चीज़ें कैसे होती हैं कि how the government will take a decision, like how they'll formulate any welfare scheme, how they'll try to ensure the security of the citizen, how they'll try to provide the best class education or like best class health facilities. एक भाई ये सारी चीज़ें करने के लिए भी तो एक मैकेनिज्म चाहिए रहता है ना. लाइक जैसे एक किसी भी फैक्ट्री में एक फाइनल प्रोडक्ट के लिए उसके बैक एंड में बहुत सारी प्रोसेस चलती है ना, जैसे उसकी रॉ मटेरियल्स कहाँ से आएंगे, ठीक है, क्या क्या रॉ मटेरियल्स चाहिए, कैसे उसकी प्रोसेसिंग होगी, कैसे आगे की प्रोसेस होगी, कैसे पैकेजिंग होगी, कैसे एडवर्टीजमेंट होगा, फिर उसके बाद जाके एक फाइनल प्रोडक्ट बनता है। ऑन द सेम वे गवर्नमेंट को भी कोई भी पॉलिसी या फिर कोई भी डिसीजन लेना है या फिर कोई भी एक्टिविटी करनी है, तो उसके पीछे एक प्रॉपर प्लानिंग, एक प्रोसीजर फॉलो अप होगा। एंड हाउ ऑल दीज प्लानिंग एंड प्रोसीजर टेक प्लेस विल डिस्कस इन द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, है ना। एक प्रॉपर पूरा एक चैनल बना दिया गया है कि लाइक देयर विल बी सर्टेन पीपल हु विल टेक द डिसीजन हाउ टू गो अबाउट दीज एक्टिविटीज, है ना। देयर विल बी सम डिफरेंट पीपल हु विल ट्राई टू इम्प्लीमेंट द डिसीजन विच इज बीइंग टेकन बाय द अदर डिपार्टमेंट, ठीक है। देयर विल बी ऑल्सो अ इंस्टीट्यूशन, देयर विल ऑल्सो अ सेट ऑफ पीपल हु विल डिसाइड कि अगर कोई डिस्प्यूट आता है, सपोज दो लोगों में कोई भी डिस्प्यूट आता है कि एक कह रहा है कि नहीं ऐसा करना चाहिए, बी कह रहा है कि नहीं ऐसा करना चाहिए, तो अब दोनों को रिजॉल्व कैसे किया जाए, तो एक तीसरा डिपार्टमेंट होता है। एंड in the same way every department knows that who is responsible for doing what, and it is also important that these activities keep take place even if the persons in the key position change, है ना। तो अभी जो अपन ने कहानी पढ़ी एक फैक्ट्री की कि एक फाइनल प्रोडक्ट के लिए, तो लेट्स नाउ एक्चुअल सी कि कौन कौन से डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं इन अ गवर्नमेंट टू फॉर्मुलेट देयर डिसीजन एंड देयर लाइक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन प्रोसेस, ठीक है। तो व्हाट आर द इंस्टीट्यूशंस एट वर्क? The first one is the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. As we have already discussed, that the Prime Minister is the real executive, and all the major decision and all the major decision of the government is being taken by the Prime Minister, है ना। Prime Minister and the Cabinet are institutions that take all important policy decisions. There are civil servants, like as you guys recall, the first question I have asked, like as a warm-up question, who are what is the full form of IS and IPS? So these are all the civil servants of the government, है ना। So they work together and are responsible for taking steps to implement the minister's decision. Who are the ministers? Cabinet minister. And there is a third body, as we have discussed in the previous slide, that if any dispute arises, then who is going to solve? So we have an institution for that also, which is an independent institution, okay? It is not binded by the legislature or by the government. It is an independent institution that is also known as Supreme Court, or like High Court and other courts also. So Supreme Court is an institution where dispute between citizen and the government are finally settled. Why Supreme Court we have taken? Because it is the final, it is the highest supreme body of the judiciary in our country, and other bodies like High Court and District Court are subsidiary of it. So we can clearly understood from this point that these are all the mechanism which all work together to come to a final point, है ना। So now it's a comment time, it's a question time. Let's take a quick question. Please pause the video and try to answer the following question in the comment section. The question is, who lays down basic rules on the power and function of each institution? Option A, the Supreme Court. Option B, the Constitution. You have 10 seconds. Please answer in the comment section. Chalo, let's take few MCQs and then we'll wind up this session. Our session first. Okay, please pause the video and read the question and try to attempt in the comment box, like which institution takes all important policy decision in our country. Please pause the video and answer in the comment section. Yep, the correct answer for the given question is option C, Prime Minister and the Cabinet. Our second question, which of the following function is being exercised by the Supreme Court? Option A, settle dispute between citizen and the government, take important policy decision. Option C, take steps to implement the minister's decision. And option D, all of these. Please pause the video and answer in the comment section. Great, I hope you all guys have answered correctly. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, settle dispute between citizen and the government. So final question of the day, let's take a quick test of your general knowledge or current awareness. Okay, so can you name who is the current finance minister of our country? Okay, that is, this question is not the part of our chapter, but okay, we are dealing with it, so you have to know also ki who are the important ministers of our country and with their respective ministries also, है ना? चलो, let's see the answer for this question is that Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. So that's all for this session. It was a great session. Actually, this was my first session in the YouTube, and I hope you all guys have enjoyed and learned a bit out of this session. Please, if you like the video, please subscribe, like and share, and I'll try to come up with the next video soon. Till then, bye bye, take care, and कुछ भी नहीं करना है उसके अलावा, बाकी सब अपने आप होगा.